All right. Welcome to today's class, everyone. Today we'll be looking at market research and competitive analysis. Well, more broader aspect of it anyway. All right. Today's a very robust class, by the way, and I really hope my PC power helps me all through. But all right. We'll be looking at what is market research, core components of market research, type of market research, conducting market research, applying the market research findings to product strategy. We'll be looking at lean canvas. This is for people that are looking to, aside being a product manager, maybe you want to start you want to be the one to, create your own product from the get-go. Which in a sense, even serving as a product manager, you may find yourself being the founder as well. But lean canvas is a very interesting strategy, which we're going to touch upon as well. And lastly, effective SWOT analysis. All right. So what is market research? Market research is a process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information about a market. Initially when we talked about user research is about the user. But right now we are trying to analyze the market. Right. Including potential customers, competitors, and overall industry. The connection between market research and potential product manager lies between the fact that effective market research provides valuable insight that guides decision making throughout the product lifecycle as well as the product strategy. All right. So as a product manager, you really need to understand the market you are building for. All right. All right, one second, guys. Are you guys requesting access to the form? Can everyone access the form?
No, sir.
No, sir, we can't access the form.
All right. 1 second.
No, we can't access it though.
All right, 1 second. What's your question for?
It's requesting for email.
Your email?
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right. Sorry about that. All right, I've edited the link. Try and click it again. All right, let me know how it goes, guys.
Yes, it's fine now. Thank you, sir.
All right, got it. That's good. All right, goals of market research. First of all, is to identify your customer needs. One of the primary goals of market research and product management is to uncover and understand the customer needs. With market research, product managers can gain valuable insight into preferences, pain points, desires of the target audience. The knowledge forms the foundations of your product development, allowing for creation of solutions that directly address the customer needs and fosters customer satisfaction and loyalty. So it goes even deeper to the user needs, to user research, but more into the customer needs in the market. All right, aside their needs in terms of you know the problem, but in terms of the market, in terms now in focusing on the market right now. All right. Also, the goal of market research helps you assess market opportunities. All right. Market research is instrumental in identifying and evaluating potential market opportunities that aligns with the company's strategic goals or objective. Right. Through comprehensive analysis of market trends, customer behaviors, and emerging demands, product manager can make informed decision about which opportunities to pursue or the threats to avoid. Let me give you an instance. All right. For example, now you can look at the market and you how will I explain this now? What industry should we look at? All right, let's look at the food industry, right? All right. You notice that because of the rising, in technology right now, smartphone and all of that, most people are more 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 attuned to wanting to just order their food and have their food ready, order their food and have their food delivered to them in their doorsteps. All right. And with this need in the market, people, most people, like, for example, now let's say in the times where there was COVID-19, right, that we noticed that people could not go out and stuff like that. A lot of food delivery logistic and food delivery app were able to really take advantage of that period because people could not go out. So one of the ways they could get food was to order the food and have it delivered to them. Do you understand? So looking at what when you understand the market trend, and for example, now if you see this company, I think is global, and what was the name of the second guys? I can't remember their names now.
Chowdeck.
Yeah, Chowdeck, correct. Chowdeck. You see how these guys are really making it easy for people to just order their food and get it delivered in space of, I think, maybe like max 2 hours, 3 hours. You're getting your food, right? And every time they're even reducing the delivery time, whereby some even takes it in an hour. You already get your food delivered to you and things like that. So this is a trend. They notice that people are more comfortable to order their food and have it delivered to them than just go out to a restaurant and things like that. All right. So you look at that trend, see customer behavior, in terms of how people are willing, how many people are even, looking for, how many fast food fast food, first of all, how many fast food restaurants are close by to people, and how willing are customers willing to, to order their food and have it delivered to them. So these are the things that you analyze, and you know that, okay, the seems that the trend is going in this direction. So you build a product that serve that need. All right, that serve that need. All right, and or that demand of customers in you know and for example, now you can also see how, for example, InDrive, Bolt, um, Uber are still thriving, because no matter how you want it, people want to move from one place to another, especially if you don't have a car. And even if you have your car, the fact that petrol is, the cost of fuel is high right now. You want to get to a place quickly without having to, jump on buses and everything like that. You know, especially if you are living in a place like mine in Abuja, where you can hardly see a bus that goes into some areas in Abuja. You just have to, use a boat or something. So those are the things that you look at and helps you design your product and know whether to even have a product in this market or not. All right. So it helps you help you make informed decision about the opportunities that you have. So you look at what are customers requesting for? What are people in this place, in this region? What do they lack? All right. Well, what can we bring to this market that would change or transform how things are being done? All right. So those are things you look at. Those are things that you evaluate in assessing opportunities in that market. All right. So these strategies, this ensures strategic and well-informed approach to product development and align your company with market trend and maximizing the potential for success. All right. So analyzing competitors, right? Understanding the competitor space is crucial for product managers seeking to differentiate their offerings. Market research enables you to thoroughly analyze the competitors, including their product, their strength, weakness, market positioning. This information empower you to identify unique selling proposition, right, and define your own value proposition that makes you stand out pretty much in that market, right? Continuous competitive competitor analysis would help you adapt to changing market dynamics and maintain a competitive edge. So now you have to look at, for example, let's say you go into the ride hailing industry, the likes of Uber and Bolt and the likes. You could see how InDrive was able to get into that market. First of all, they did their own analysis and they realized that why don't you make it easy for people to you know to determine their prices rather than the app determine prices. You determine your prices and have the riders bargain, bargain, bargain for with. I've changed the link. Please check again. Guys, do you have access to it now? I thought you guys said you have access to the link now.
Yes, we have access. I've done mine. I've marked my attendance.
All right. So the person that is sending message to check, try again. All right. So that's pretty much how that works. We'll go into details of that going forward. All right. Mitigating risk. All right. Market research allows product manager to assess visibilities of product development and market entry by identifying potential obstacles and challenges. All right. So with market research, you can analyze all the risks that is entails in that market. For example, now, of course, for example, now you can't say you want to come and create a business or a product that allows you to people to easily get bikes to use Uber uses right what's it called, cars and everything, but you now want to create your own to be for people to easily to get to use bikes to, and you can use an app and you can just order a bike rider to take you from one place to another. The risk involved is that in Lagos State has banned people having ride across express. So you can't. There's no way you want to build a product around that market need because of that restriction or that regulation that has banned bike moving on express road. All right. So that might be something that you have to identify to help you understand if you can actually, if this product development, if what this product you're trying to bring into market or even develop is visible or not. So those are things that you look at to help you determine if this product I'm trying to develop or bring into market can succeed. So like I said, you have to check the market dynamics, regulatory landscape. What are the regulations that are within the industry? You analyze everything. What are the do's and the don'ts? What does the regulation allows? All right. Especially for fintech now, there's a whole lot of regulation around how money moves and transaction is being done. In the fintech world, you have to understand and analyze this so that you know how to look for loopholes, right? You can look for loopholes or look for opportunities and the risk as well, and know that okay, we can avoid this risk if we do it in this way. We can avoid this if we go through this direction and stuff like that. So those are things that you analyze as well as a product manager. All right. This proactive approach ensures a more resilient and successful product launch, minimizing unforeseen setbacks and increasing your chance of market acceptance. Right. So, core component of market research, we have the market landscape, we have the customer research, we have the quantitative analysis. So that's the landscape, the customer research, and the quantitative analysis. That's what encompasses market research. All right. So what's the market landscape? This exploration involves gaining insights in various elements that collectively define the market environment. Listen, every element that that defines how the industry or the market you're trying to enter, um, that defines how the market you're trying to enter. All right. It empowers business with the knowledge needed to navigate challenges, capitalize on opportunities, and make informed decisions. All right. For example, there's a particular analysis that you do to analyze your landscape. It's called the pestle analysis. All right. All right. So this framework helps organization to understand and evaluate external factors. First of all, that impact your business environment. So pestle means political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors. So as a product manager, right, you see that a policy can take you out of market, can take you out of business. All right. One economic frame, the change in an economic dynamics, inflation, like that, can take you out of markets. Social, social, how the culture of the place, social, the tradition of a particular market can either make you or break you. Do you understand? The technology that is existent in that market, technology of that is existing in that market. All right. For instance, right now there's still some technology that is far from what is accessible in the in Africa or in the third world countries. All right, compared to the United States, Russia, and China and the likes, and also environmental. Right. For example, now if you're building an application on that is meant to help me, let's say agriculture, that in the agri space or in the um, agri space or in the out of home space or in several industries, right, that are more external or more prone to an environmental impact. All right. If your product is that kind of thing, you have to ensure that you analyze that properly. And then legal factors. All right. What are the licensing? What are the legal requirements for your product? All right. What are the things you need to be certified on? Your product needs to be certified on. Do you have this license? Do you have that license? If you see some startup, they have a whole lot of license so that it will help them to operate in some markets. All right, you want to enter into the US market, there's some licensing that you need to get. You want to start working in the Nigerian market. You want to move to the Ghanaian market. You have to get some licensing. So you need a legal team on board to help you analyze that aspect before to know whether your product can succeed or not. All right, or know what you need for your product to succeed. Okay. So this is a breakdown of the pestle what's it called, the pestle framework. All right. For the P, which is political, you have government policy, you have political stability, you have corruption, you have foreign trade, tax policy, labor law, trade restrictions. For economy, you have economic growth, exchange rate, interest rates, inflation, like I mentioned, unemployment rate, and the likes. For social, you have population growth rate, you have age distribution, career attitude, career attitudes, safety emphasis, health consciousness, lifestyle attitude, and stuff like that. For technology, You have to look at the technology incentives, the um, level of innovation in that country, R&D activities, technology awareness. For environmental, you have to understand weather, climate, environmental policies, climate change and all of that. And for legal, you have to understand the discrimination law, antitrust law, employment law, copyrights, health and safety law, all forms of law that is associated to your industry or your service or the product you're rendering. All right. All right. So here is a list of different factors to consider when researching the market for your product, right? And I like you guys to when you get the materials, I like you guys to focus on this as well. The buying power of your customers, which is the ability for your buyers to impact, the ability of buyers to impact product quality, price, customer service within a market, demography and psychography. Right, this is we call it similar characteristics or common belief your buyers share in terms of their age, income, cultural values, and things like that. You have to really analyze these things. All right, growth rate. This is quantified measure of change in demand within the market over a period of time. All right, you see what is the how are the people demanding for a particular thing? Are they demanding because a lot of factors would affect demand. It could be inflation. I think there was a point when I was working for an e-commerce company, right? There was a sense of there was a period where there was serious inflation in the UK, and this really affected demand for some set of products, especially for some high-end products. We just realized that we're not getting people requesting for those products, and that was because of the inflation that we experienced in that period. All right. So market share as well, portion of the revenue attributed to each company in the market, including your own, if applicable. All right. Market size, number of customers, and revenue within the market over a given period of time. So this is one thing you have to also look at as well. Before you put a product to the market, you have to understand how big the market is. Most times when founders, want to receive investment or funding, trying to get fundings, right? One of the things that they ask for is that how big is the market you're trying to serve, all right? Because that's what will determine how much profit you'll be able to make. If the market you are trying to serve is just about 500 people or 1,000 people, that's not the profitable business or profitable approach to business. All right. We look at the pricing, current of amount customers are willing or expect to pay for similar products, all right? And risk, in terms of likelihood of volatility, financial loss, market factors that could negatively impact your business. So these 7 things here listed here is very important for you, factors you need to consider when researching your market, when researching your market for your product. All right. So I stated what are the 4 components of market research. Okay, this is then I'm talking about the user research now. All right, I know we already talked extensively about this. I'm just going to gloss around this, which is pretty much understanding the pain points and the desires of your customers. All right, we already touched on how to do this research on our last class. Um, User research helps to understand pinpoint and desires, validate your concepts, craft persona development. We touched on that already. Reduce development risk, right? We've talked on that. And then we have competitors analysis. Competitor analysis is critical component that provides valuable insight into the strength and weakness and rivalries of your rivalries, right? All right, so some of the strength and weakness to consider while doing competitive analysis. You have to look at the product feature. All right, so you would have a column to help you analyze for each of your competitors. You have to analyze their product features, understand the unique features that they have and attributes that makes your competitor stand out. You have to analyze their brand reputation, the strength of their brand, how much they're investing in their branding and the impact of their customer loyalty. All right. You have to understand the distribution channels. All right. how are your competitors distributing or delivering their product to the market? All of the channels, you have to understand that. You have to understand the market presence, examine the geographical reach, how far your customers are able to how far the reach of your customers in the market. Are they across Lagos, Abuja? Are they operating in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt? Look at how far are they. Maybe they're also operating in other countries, Ghana, Kenya, and all of that. See the reach at which they're operating and their market share, the market share of your competitors. This is something you need to evaluate so that you know how best the approach you will use to enter the market, because these guys are major players and they have all that it takes to, to um, to win you in the market. All right. So you have to be able to analyze it so that you can find the right, positioning on the right value to offer that differentiates you from what they have. All right. And weaknesses you need to look at is the product limitation. Identify areas where your competitor's product may fall short and lack certain features. So these are the things that you analyze to know what you can best improve on in your own product. Operational challenges, investigate potential weakness in their supply chain, production or process, and product services. All right. You have to understand the price sensitivity, understand if your competitors are vulnerable to price fluctuation or economic change, in the sense that, when there is when there is inflation or when there is a certain demand, did they always change their price? Do they, what are the things that affects their pricing and all of that? Customer compliance, analyze customer review and feedback to identify common pain points. So you go to their um, website or their app, look at all the complaints that people are complaining about their app. You get, these are things that you need to go do as well. Look at the reviews that people are giving online. See the ones that are not good, so that you know the things that you would improve on in your own product, so that it will help you, serve those customers that are complaining about that particular aspect of their product, of that competitor. All right. So those are things that you look at. So any question before we go into the next phase? One question, first person. Okay, so no question. All right. So now we're looking at type of market research. First one is the primary research. So you're too late. You're too late. Sorry about that. Maybe after when I give the next allowance, you can ask the question.
Oh,
all right.
Tapping.
All right. Sorry about that. All right. Primary research. Types of market research. We have the primary research, involves collecting first-hand data through direct engagement with target market using qualitative and quantitative method. This approach allows personalized exploration of specific research questions and is also known as field research. So you have to do what we call field research, all right? And there are two types. We have the exploratory information to determine the nature of the problem that hasn't yet been clearly defined, and conclusion information, which is carried out to solve a problem that exploratory research identifies. All right, so the approach of this research is pretty much similar to user research, actually, but what differentiates it is the kind of questions that you ask. All right, and of course, you are still analyzing your research is within the customers in the market. All right, so now we have secondary research. Secondary research involves analyzing existing data from external sources. It's cost-effective, efficient method, and often used by small businesses and startups. This provides a broad understanding of every topic, informs primary research in investment, and leverage readily available sources. All right, example of secondary research we have is the industry report. And there's several, listen, there's several industry reports out there for that part, for the industry you're trying to serve or you're trying to build a product for. So you have to get your hands on all of those reports. This gives you a breakdown of several things regarding that is happening in that industry. And of course, some of them are cost, some of them are costly, to be honest. You have to pay for some of them. Some of them are readily accessible, but for in-depth reports, some of them you have to really pay for or subscribe to get those reports. And these reports are very essential because these are people that have gone ahead to do the more in-depth research. So you can just get that readily available data, and they do it yearly. You get, so you can this would help you really just analyze the industry you're working in. Quantitative analysis, we already talked about this, studying information about the competitor's product. We have comment publication, utilizing data from government agencies such as economic indicators and demographic statistics. So the government of a particular country as well, for by their what do you call it now? Most of all of these ministries, most of all of these ministries, especially the ministry that is aligned to your industry, right? They also release publications as well, so you can get your hands on those. That it will also give you some data that will inform how best to develop or position your product. All right, academic journals. All right, so some professors, academian, they also publish, publications, journals in that industry and market as well. So you can get your hands on those ones as well. Those will actually help you as well to understand. All right, market research techniques. Like I said, this technique is similar to user research, to be honest. Very, very similar. We have the survey questionnaires, which is cost effective, about your customer needs, preferences, and behavior. We have the interview, like we have already, I know I already explained that, extensively in our last class. And we have the focus group as well, allows you to gather qualitative data about your customer preference and their reaction to product concept, you know. And lastly, we have the observational and secondary research, which is similar to what I talked about, which is study of customer in their external environment, allowing you as a product manager to gain insights into customer behavior and usage. Why secondary involves analyzing existing data, like I said earlier. Example we talked about is, industry reports, market research studies, and other sources. Example here I wrote there, tools like Agile Full Story can help you track and analyze user behavior on your website. Maybe you already built a product already and you really want to understand how they are, engaging your website. You can use tools like that. And for research database, you can check Statistica. No, I use Statistica a lot. Abyss World, Euromonitor, that's for European market anyway, and provide you access to market data and industry reports. All right. So conducting a market research, how do you go on to conduct a market research? All right. So first of all, you have to define your research objective to guide your efforts. Know what you really want to research. Define that. Specify what you want to achieve, whether it's to understand the customer preference, measure the market demands, or analyze competitors. All right. So you have to determine what you are doing, and create a research plan. A plan that requires selecting the right method, considering their pros and cons, and aligning them with your objective and budget. So if you want to use that PESTEL framework, there are other frameworks like SWOT. We're going to get into that. That can help you do an analysis, or you want to use the lean Canva approach as well. So there are several frameworks that you can use to analyze. In fact, you can even use as many frameworks just so that you can get in several perspectives to your insights. All right, to your insight. All right. So there is that. All right. data collection. So execute your research plan by gathering data through survey, interviews, and give me a second. All right. So we say analyze and interpret the data. All right, so this is where you examine the data set to identify patterns, trends, and insights. So you have to do a level of analysis. You grouping your data based on some patterns that you are seeing, some trends that you are seeing, and a kind of insight that you know that okay, this information will really help us to in how we develop and help us make informed decision on what to develop and how to develop our product, or even how to position our product in the market, or even influence the pricing of our product. All right, and all of that. So those good insight that you're seeing, ensure that you examine those things and elicit them. All right, so use data visualization to present complex information in a clear and accessible format. All right. And the fifth one says document and communicate findings. Right. Record, share research results with stakeholders, ensuring everyone is informed and aligned with the insights. All right. So here we talk about applying your research findings to product strategy. Um, let me take one question before we go into this. All right, that lady that wanted to ask a question. What's your question?
Okay, hi, good evening, sir.
Good day.
Okay, so my question basically was in the case for competitive analysis, in the case where you're unable to get primary data, which is
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one, and you go ahead to look for secondary data, like you mentioned, statistical is paid. What do you do then, since like you said it's paid and it's quite pricey? What can you do then? And what if the information you're seeing online is quite limited, especially towards the Nigerian market?
Yeah, to be honest, there are cases where that can also be a factor, where maybe you are not seeing any secondary research that regarding that market or that industry, you know. So you may want to then go the other route of just conducting your own survey and speaking to people within that industry. So you might have to go out of your house, meet with people in that industry, stakeholders, people that play, players in that industry, set up a meeting with them, tell them about what you're trying to solve or build, and ask questions, just like you did in user research. We talked about in the user research, ask questions, have a list of questions to help you understand the the steps, the workflow, the challenges they're experiencing, what are the things that they are doing differently, what are the ways that they are solving their own problems, so that you know whether you can improve on that and things like that. So you ask sort of these questions and ask, how are, for example, if you're asking people that are not your prospective customers or people that are within that industry or that you want to serve, ask them how are the customers responding, what are the product, what are the kind of needs that they need, what are the demands, what are the things that they're demanding for and things like that. So you might have to go outside, all right, especially if you're not getting any um external research data. So but I think also, right, there are some data might not be so specific to your area. For example, now, as much as I don't think there's any industry you're trying to build a product for where there's no data that external data like a report or publication that doesn't touch on Africa or West Africa, right? I get to see those. So you might not see the one specifically for Nigeria or for the areas you're building for Nigeria, but you most likely see for Africa. Then you can then use the approach of the total addressable market and all of that. I didn't add that to this slide, by the way. So you can look at the total addressable market, serviceable market, and all of that to know um what portion of the market you can serve and all of that. So um if in that report or in that publication you see that um, there is a total spend of let's say 20 billion in just in Africa, all right, you know that somehow a maybe 20 or 200 million might come from Nigeria or something like that. So those are the things that you look at to just evaluate. But most of them will still be estimation anyway at some point. But until you go outside and interview as many people and run surveys before you can know how the direction. Like I said, they are all research. None of them is a set in stone, But you keep moving in the direction of the numbers, of the trends or the patterns you're seeing. So that's what will help you define how best to make your decision regarding your product development. All right.
I have a question, sir.
Can we take this question to the end of the class? Just drop it on the chat so that I can, if my power, I can use my tablet if my PC power doesn't give me to the end of this class. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So drop your question in the chat. We can take it at the end of the class, at the end of the teaching. All right. So applying research findings to product strategy. All right. Like we said, so you use your research to prioritize the future, refine your product concept, and ensure that your product meets the needs of your target audience. For example, now let's say product management might discover that users find a particular feature confusing or difficult to use by conducting customer interview and usability testing. Right, this leads to improvement in the product design and functionality. All right, so you've already built an MVP, right? All right, so you might ensure that you're running a customer interview usability testing, right? This would help you understand how best to refine your experience of your product or a particular functionality that you need to improve on and things like that. All right. We have pricing strategy, how you apply your research find. You can apply it to your pricing strategy, help you to optimize your price for your product, analyze your price elasticity, willingness to pay, analyzing the willingness to pay of your customers, competitors pricing. Like for example, now you can look at the threshold of your competitors. How much did they set their price on, so that you know how best to position your price, so that whether you want to increase it based on the value you are offering, especially if your value is more than what your competitors are offering, or you want to reduce it such that you can find a sweet spot for where your own product for your own product. All right. All right. So, and this allows you to, helps you maximize your revenue and also satisfy your customer pretty much. Especially if you just find that sweet spot for your price, and your customers are just comfortable with the price that you set it, and that price is also enough for you to break even as well. All right. You apply your research in your positioning, your messaging. All right. Understanding your target audience and competitive landscape is essential to crafting an effective product positioning and messaging. All right. And this helps you identify the unique value proposition of a product and develop messaging that resonates with your target customers. And this is the information that your product marketing, especially if you're a product marketing manager, right? And your product management phase is more turned to the marketing side of the product, all right? So you have to be able to understand how best to position your market, what kind of value you are providing. From your market research, you can know how best to position your market and the kind of messaging you are putting out, all right? Maybe you are not just a this, you are a that. You are not just a this, you are a that. And understanding the needs helps you craft the right message that will compel your customers to buy or to use your product. All right. Now we're looking at lean canvas. All right. Please drop your questions in the chat, guys. I think it's best I take it at the end of this lecture. All right. So we have lean canvas. All right, I know someone yesterday was asking me about, difficulty when you don't have a team and you're trying to understand this and all of that, and everything. So this is an approach, a framework that you can use, especially if you're the one that wants to build a product you're the one trying to build a product as a product manager. And I think I would even advise everyone on this call, to try and build a product. Try and build a product. And when I say build a product, you can even build it to the point of MVP or to the point of every necessary research or every necessary market research and all of that validate the success of your product. If that's where you reach, it's fine. All right. It shows that you've done the groundwork, you have experience in the groundwork, which is also similar to the what's it called, the assignment that I give you guys. If you're able to effectively do that, carried out the assessment, it will set you up big time to understand how this research that we do take place. All right, so I will urge everyone on this call to ensure that you do the assignment. All right. So Lean Canva is a one-page format for brainstorming possible business model. The blocks guides you to so I'll show you how it looks like. So the blocks of this business Canva guides you through logical steps, starting with your customer problems, right through your unfair advantage, and the key fundamentals of lean method. So when this lean canvas is mostly used when you're using the lean methodology in broader management. All right. An interesting thing about the lean methodology is mostly when you have lesser resources. All right, and you want to be as lean as possible. You just simply what it simply means lean. You're trying to be lean in your development process. Right. Use limited resources. You have limited resources. You don't want to waste your resources as well. All right. So the fundamental of lean methodology is to eliminate is in the elimination of waste. Include your time, your processes, your inventory, and more. All right, and the development process as well. So as a lean Canva, is a quicker way to get ideas out of your head. You need to stay lean and avoid wasting time. All right. So this is how a lean Canva look like. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to share a what's it called? I'm going to share all right, let me just share it here. It's I'm going to send you guys the PTTX format, the slide format, so that you guys can edit it, because I'm going to give you an assignment on it. But this is just a PDF, a JPEG of a lean Canva. All right, so you guys can look at this, and for the ones on the slide, let me share that as well. But yeah, so here you can see problem, solution, unique value proposition, unfair advantage, customer segment, existing alternative, key metrics, high level concept, your channels, your early adopters, cost structure, revenue stream. So if you can, let me tell you guys something. If you can answer all of these All right. All of these questions on this link canvas, right? You are set up, you're good. And that's where most of yours, that is where, so this is what, so when you're doing your research, right, you're doing your interviews and all of that, you are brainstorming, evaluating your market. Majority of them is to answer the questions here, help you understand the problem, what solution are you rendering, what is your unique value proposition, like how do you you know how do you want to, what value that is unique, that sets you, that differentiates you from others, especially when you've done your competitive analysis, then you're able to identify what your unique value proposition is. High level concept, this is something you just use to show how people can understand what you're building. That's what high level concept is. Your unfair advantage, um, which is something that you have that other people do not have. All right, it's just something. It may not really necessarily be in your product. It might be in the channel approach or in your distribution approach. So your fair advantage could be anything that you have that your competitors did not have. All right. Your customer segment, of course, your early adopters, um, your cost structure, how what will cost you to develop, to run your marketing and things like that. Revenue stream, how you plan to make money, whether through subscription, one time payment fee, recurring, or support charges, or commission and stuff like that. So well this thing, if you really, I'm going to just touch upon it on a fundamental level, right? There is a full-fledged course on being Canva, all right? It's something that people use in MBA. You want to do an MBA, it's a full-fledged topic that needs to be properly delved into. But which is why I'm going to give you guys an assignment on it so that you can do further research on this approach to help you guys understand it much better. All right. So what is the problem? Each customer segment you are thinking to work with will have a set of problem. So all of your customer segments will have their own. Remember when we talk about those personas, right? Persona is also is a way to segment your customers, right? It's pretty much a way to segment your customers, right? So what are the problems that is particular to each personas, all right? So that's what you then highlight as your problems, all right? Um, all right, so of course you know that without a problem to solve, you don't have a product or service. So you have to have a problem, all right? And then your customer segment, so you have to understand your customers. You have to be able to include your customer segment as well. Your unique value proposition is a promise of value to be delivered. It's the primary reason a prospect should buy your product. So why should people buy your product? Why people want your product? What value are you rendering? So that's your value proposition, right? And how is it unique? In what way will it help the customer? So you state that. Your solution, um, having a solution is really key. It's just literally your golden egg, to be honest. Uh, you might, like I mentioned here, that say you might not get it right at first, all right, but because it's lean, by the time you keep going, doing your interviews with your customer, you keep knowing the best solution to offer. You might first, remember we talked about a lot of things are hypotheses. From first interview, you're still getting hypothesis assumptions. But by the time you run more surveys, conduct more interviews, you're able to know the right solution, the best solution to solve, the right problem to solve, and best approach of a solution to solve that problem. All right. So channels pretty much involves how customers will get your product, your product. It can be via email, social, CPC ad, blogs, articles, radio, TV, whatever. It's just a means that which you want to reach your customers and your customers can reach you. All right. Revenue stream talks about how you price your business. How you price it depend on the type of model it is. All right. There's several kind of model. I should have included them here. We have the freemium, we have the subscription, we have the commission, we have the marketplace. There we have several um, recurring. We have several business model or a revenue model that that you can adopt depending on what. And this is what you decide on. It should be influenced on your research. In other words, you can't just come and say you want to do subscription when your product doesn't require a subscription approach. All right, you can't come and say you want to do commission when it doesn't. When it doesn't, for example, now, Upwork uses commission. All right, for every gig that you get, they get a commission from the um, total cost of the gig. All right. Um, what's it called? Uber get use commission as well. They get a commission from the transaction from the driver, the rider, and the passenger. For um LinkedIn uses subscription. All right, you subscribe for it monthly and all of that. Um, what's it called? Other platform. Okay. What's the name? Instagram, Facebook, them they use ads because they have the numbers, all right. So they get their revenue through running ads. So people can run ads on this platform and they get revenue. They get their revenue. So you can determine what's the best approach for you um to to make your money. All right. In fact, you can even have two approach. You Twitter uses I think it's Twitter. YouTube uses ads and subscription as well. So if you don't want to be seeing the ads, you can subscribe and you'll be getting ads. So you are making money from people that want to run ads, and they're also making money from people that don't want ads. So look at that business approach. All right. So you can look at that approach as well, determine what's the best revenue stream you want to go. Cost structure, pretty much understand what it will cost you to put your product out, develop it, do your research, all of that. What are the costs? You have to be able to break them down. And also, um, you can use this also to calculate your break even in terms of how much will it takes you, how much would your customer pay you to the point where you start making profit. All right. So when you've identified your cost, all that it costs you to develop the product and put it out there, yeah, you'll be able to understand how much you have to be charging your customer over a period of time for you to break even. Break even literally means the point where you start making profit. So when um your what's it called now? What did they call it in accounting? Um when your this thing exceed your um I'm not getting the right word now. So pretty much when you start making profit, yeah, the costs exceed the revenue. Yes. So when the revenue exceed the cost, all right, you're breaking even. All right. So I think that's just it. Yes. All right. Your key metrics. All right. So this is you have to identify some key metrics, key things that helps you analyze your success metrics. All right. I said this is the best way to help with the best way to help with this is to visualize a funnel top down that flows from the large open top through multiple stage. All right. So you have to be able to understand how um in a sense how your product is, what way do you want to track the success of your product. For example, now I could say, what are the metrics you want to set out for number of downloads, how many how many um how many users per day, or how many paying users per month, and things like that. So set your metrics right to know how it will help you to make revenue. All right, your unfair advantage. All right. I said that this is the most difficult thing to answer, to be honest. The unfair advantage at most times it might even take you time to get it sorted. But however, do not try to think about this as an unfair advantage. Can help you. Do try to think about it because it will help you when it comes to seeking partners and investments. So you really need to find that unfair advantage. What's really what you have that your competitors do not have. All right. So that's touch on lean canvas. But to get more deep into this, guys, I'm going to give you guys an assignment to help you deep dive into this lean canvas as well as SWOT analysis that we're about to get into. All right. So this is the last aspect, SWOT analysis. Okay. What is SWOT analysis? All right. SWOT analysis is a strategic planning technique that allows product managers to evaluate the and internal and external factors affecting their business or product. All right. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to answer all of the questions after the end of this. All right. Just pay attention. Try and pay attention, guys. All right. So yeah, it's also similar to the pestle approach that we talked about earlier. But SWOT helps you analyze the strength, weakness, help you analyze your strength, your weakness, opportunities, and your threats. So this is mostly when you're already an organization, to be honest. And you're in fact before you have even before you become an organization anyway. But it just helps you understand what are your strengths, what are your weakness, opportunities that you have, and what are the threats. All right, both external and internal, to be honest. Yes, you can evaluate it externally and evaluate it internally. All right. Um, this provide a framework to analyze your current landscape, uncover future possibilities, and gain powerful market insights. All right. With potential impact ranging from refining existing products to revising company-wide direction. In fact, your company-wide strategy. So if you're a product manager and you get into a company, all right, and you run a SWOT analysis, you can move the direction of the company in a way that it will move them into success, into a different terrain that most that even the management are not we're not even seeing. But because you're able to do a proper SWOT analysis, you can give them informed reason to move in a particular direction of the market. All right. All right. So conducting effective SWOT analysis should be a pivotal piece of any product manager routine. Do you guys get it? It's a routine that you need to. It's something you will find yourself conducting often as a product manager. All right, as a file as a routine. Okay. So if you don't like research, I don't know. All right. So there's work. There's a lot of work as a product manager. A lot of work, but it's fun anyway. Especially if you're not doing it in silos and you have a team and you guys are extensively just digging dive into this data and this research to really uncover as many things that would help inform the decisions on the direction your product to go and how it will succeed in the market. All right. We have the strength. Strength is the internal attribute, resource, capability. Your resource could be in terms of money, network, and things like that. Capability in terms of numbers of your developers, numbers of people on your team, um, what are the infrastructures that you have, and things like that. You know, Quantitative advantage, or maybe you already developed a particular, feature that that in your research realize that it would set you apart, that is setting you apart already, or you validated it over a period of time. You see that this thing is something that it's really a strength for us, that allows your product to accomplish that objective. All right. So weakness are internal deficiencies, gaps, and vulnerabilities, limitation that may inhibit or restrict achieving set goals. All right. Vulnerabilities, gaps can be maybe it could also be your number of your team. It could be your fact that you don't have, like you guys were talking about, you don't have money, or you're in the US, you're in the UK, and you're trying to you're trying, your market is in Nigeria and stuff like that. And a lot of things would literally be a lot of things can be weaknesses that that is restricting you from achieving your set goals. All right. All right. We'll look at those questions, guys. All right. I'm seeing your questions, by the way. We'll address it. All right. Opportunities. Opportunities are favorable external factors like industry trends, target market, changes in customer behavior or technology that allows your product to thrive. And threats are external elements like competitive innovators. Like for example, now if your competitors are deploying a crazy innovation that that you know it's just you know um game changing, market changes, shifts in the overall economy that exposes weaknesses and endangers your success. All right, these can be your threats. All right, when should you conduct SWOT analysis? You should conduct a SWOT annually. Teams should perform SWOT analysis at least once a year to assess overall landscape. When you're doing your product development, use full preparation when it's conceptualizing and evaluating potential new product or future. So when you're going to develop your product, you should run a SWOT analysis. When you're about to make major decisions, considering SWOT analysis before significant strategic moves like entering a new market provides valuable input. So if you want to enter a new market, or you're trying to make a strategic move for your company is trying to make a strategic move, ensure you run a SWOT analysis. Market disruptions, you're trying to, changes in competitive force, new innovations from rivals, economic shifts, impactful world events. For example, when COVID-19 happened, you want to run a SWOT analysis, or something happens that just changes the dynamics of how you operate in that your region, or stuff like that. There is it could be anything, that's especially that disrupting the market. It's necessary for you to run a SWOT analysis, and that analysis will help you know, okay, what direction can we then run, can we then take. All right. Preparing for effective SWOT analysis. The key to impactful SWOT analysis lies in the preparation stage. All right. I want you guys to get this. You should focus preparation across 4 key areas. First of all, assembling a diverse SWOT team. So I said SWOT. You have like a SWAT team, but a SWOT team, right? So when you're running a SWOT analysis, it's not a one-person thing, right? If you're doing it for a massive organization, but for the sake of for knowledge base, you guys do that on assignment. Oh goodness, my PC is running low. All right, let me see if I can finish this before it runs that. I just have to. Okay, let me download this and share it to you guys. Sorry guys, I want to download this to share to you guys. Okay, so let's see how far, before I switch to my tablet, let's see how far this gets us. Okay, sorry, just a second. All right. Yeah, so put together 6 to 8 cross-functional team members. Guys, I've dropped the slide on the chat, guys. All right, so put together 6 to 8 cross-functional team members. Cross-functional, guys, very important. Spanning different departments, seniority levels, and personnel, all right? Engineering, design, sales. This is specific to when you're in the industry, when you're in an organization, right? Right. Verify perspective leads to more well-rounded ideas, all right? So this is one approach to go about it. First approach, then researching key inputs. Conduct research across 4 areas to uncover ideas, trend, insight to feed into your SWOT session. We have the customer and marketplace. You run survey and focus group and third-party market size data. You run your competitors analysis. You get your industry trend, and identify the internal capabilities like your audit on your technical capabilities, your IP, your total addressable market, your brand sentiment, and all of that. Those are things that you use as well. Then brainstorming process and logistic. Define the process for collecting your SWOT idea during sessions through methods like silent individual idea generation, small group breakout by SWOT category. All right, so you can break out your team based on the category of each SWOT. Maybe you want to break out some set of people that will be focusing on strengths, some set of people on weakness, on opportunity, or threat. All right. And full team rapid idea ideation. So after you've done the breakout, you can then have an ideation box to generate ideas for how to mitigate all of those threats and and weaknesses, or how to identify more opportunities and more strength for your company. All right. Ways to get more strength and more opportunities for your company. All right. Okay, so clarify session logistics, stakeholder interview, number of session, tools and templates, and facilitators. All right. Evaluating criteria. Develop prioritization criteria to identify the most impactful SWOT elements to focus strategic planning on. All right. And this is whether you want to prioritize the potential value impact, likelihood to occur, resource efficiency, and timing and urgency. All right. So all right, guys. I think my PC just died, but I should be able to share my screen here. I don't know why I couldn't do it last time. All right, let me know what you guys are seeing. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you
But
are
it's
now.
not clear. It's not clear. Yes.
Okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You can see the slide. Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. All right. Can you that me?
Angry that the man did not come for her distance.
Hello. Mute mic, please.
No, I don't know whether he has recovered. I don't know whether he has recovered. My mom said that. Is it not his wife? No, the grandmother used to do like that. Something would have wanted him.
Interesting. Okay. I agree. Okay. All right. Why this keep coming? Presentation. All right, can you guys all mute, please? I don't want to. All right. All right. So, in preparing for an effective SWOT analysis, all right, I talked about evaluating criteria, right? Develop prioritization criteria to identify the most impactful SWOT element to focus strategic planning on. All right, and this can be potential value impact, meaning that what is the potential value that your the impact of a particular potential value that you guys generate in your brainstorming session, or likelihood to occur. You can also look at, especially in terms of the threat. All right, you can prioritize it based on likelihood to occur. Right, if you haven't identified it, you might want to see, well, okay, what's the likelihood of this particular thing occurring, even though you've identified it as a threat. All right, resource efficiency. All right, you want to look at timing and urgency. All right, in terms of in terms of urgency, at which how urgent you want to tackle that weakness, or how urgent you want to, what's the time you're putting into, to addressing that threat that you've identified. All right, so you can prioritize it in that regard as well. All right, by preparing properly across these areas, your team can produce higher quality SWOT outputs centered around objective and research insight rather than subjective assumptions. All right. So how to identify SWOT element? Okay, I think this is the last aspect of this course, this topic. All right, strength identification. We have the strength identification. So how do you now identify this SWOT element? All right, this is something you guys will need when you're doing the assignment I'm going to give you. All right, what existing internal capabilities, assets, or advantage does your product company uniquely possess that satisfy user needs better than the alternatives? All right, so questions you want to ask is, what user needs does our product serve remarkably better than our competitors? You want to ask questions like, what exceptional assets like technology, IP, valuable data, talent do we leverage? You want to ask questions like, what processes, systems, value differentiates us in our marketplace? All right, so these are the questions that you ask when you're running your strength, identifying the element for your strength. And then for weakness, you're asking, what are the internal resource deficiencies, gaps, bottlenecks that are hindering user experiences, growth potentials, productivity, and decision making. So you look at the things that are hindering the experience your user having on your product, your growth potential, your productivity, because it could also, like I said, it can also be, and the weakness can be internal, can be like the structure or the guys on your team, how you guys are making your decisions and things like that. You want to identify that as well, right? And questions you want to look at are, why does our product fall short of meeting user expectation compared to alternatives? So you look at, or you ask everyone brainstorms and answer those questions. All right, what flaws negatively impact user retentions or conversion rates? You want to ask, what systems and tools consistently pose problem for staff workflow. So it could be that your weakness could be the kind of tools that you're using, or how well are people able to use the tools that you're using to serve your your users or customers. Right. You want to look at opportunity identification. So what are the external trends, forces, innovation, untapped market? What external trends, forces, innovation, and untapped market can be capitalized on, giving current strengths and capabilities? So you've identified your strengths and your capabilities. So what opportunities can you guys capitalize with these your strengths? How can we leverage? You're asking questions. How can we leverage marketplace trends to remote work adoption? This is even specific to a marketplace business model. You want to ask what customer needs present expansion possibilities in new segment, right? For example, you realize that some set of customers are requesting there's a new arising need in that market. All right, now you know your strengths. How can we then identify this need that we can that can we use to flesh out a new market segment, or that can help you expand a new market segment, all right, into a new market segment, like I mentioned. All right, so you also ask questions like what emerging technology could augment or enhance your offering. All right, maybe now you want to adopt AI or adopt automation or something that would help you enhance your offering. All right. So threat, what are external factors like innovations from competitors, market size shifts, or economic changes that could negatively impact user loyalty, team productivity, or company productability? Examples of questions you can ask are: how are competitors offering luring away our users? So you want to see what are the things that competitors are doing that are making your customer churn, or to join your own join their own product. All right, you want to ask questions like what market, technology, or regulatory changes endanger our current customer value proposition. All right, you want to ask questions like, have there been concerning economic shifts in the territories we operate within? That can be a major thing you need to identify if there is. All right, so there are more questions. So I would advise you guys to go online, search for more questions to ask to evaluate threats, identify weaknesses, identify strengths and opportunities. The more questions you ask, the more you're able to unravel more things regarding your product or your organization. All right, so that is the end. I know this class is a bit more lengthier than our previous ones, but all right. So let me see you guys' questions. I'll try my best to answer as many as you that you currently have. Tomorrow I'll share some tools that can help you guys although it will be on Notion. So I don't know if you guys are on Notion. Some tools on how to help you guys create your quantitative analysis and all of that. I'm going to share that tomorrow, so I might need a reminder on that. But let me answer some of your questions before I stop recording. All right, first question I'm seeing here. All right, I think someone was helping me answer that. Yeah, okay, correct. Was saying break even is when your cost. No, I think it's when it exceeds, actually. When your revenue exceeds your cost, that's when you break even. All right. So Lillian is asking, how do you know how long it takes to do research, competition analysis, computer analysis, filling the lean canvas, cost structure, How do you know what metrics to choose? And what if you don't know your USP, your unique I'm coming. Give me a second. All right, or your unique value proposition. All right, good question, but a lot of questions. But yeah, so how do you know how long to take? Well, you might not be able to know how long this will take because all of these are things that will take a couple of while. It will take a couple of while. I'm not gonna lie. But it depends on to move faster. It's most likely you work with a team of people that are also passionate about the problem you're solving. All right, so you can do that as well. But if you're doing it, like I said, I mentioned that if you, most of the time you might be doing it for an organization, all right. So the assignment that I most likely give you might be something little that won't require so much of time or so much of in depth in terms of when you're doing it for a full-fledged company. But however, it's going to take you some time actually. What do you do when competitors' marketing channels does not have much to offer? What do you do when your competitors and marketing? All right. So what do you do? I'm trying to understand this question. Like, what do you mean by what do you do when your competitors' marketing channels does not have much to offer? Yeah, well, it's good for you. So it's then for you to then think on what offerings that you can have that will be more or better than what they're currently having. Or maybe you're in the market and your competitors are not offering, they're not doing as much. They're just doing the bare minimum. So you now start looking for best practices that maybe people are using. It could be that you're trying to enter a new market, right? And your competitors in that market are doing the bare minimum, and you've done your research and you know that there are some practices, there are some trends that are being done even in other first world company in US that you know that if you bring to this market, it would give you an edge. Sometimes most of the ideas that you bring are not new in a sense that you generate new, but just things that you've seen applicable in other markets that you think you can bring to your market as well. All right. So it could be something in that regard as well. So how do you work on your SWOT analysis? I do explain that in the class. In a situation where a customer are reluctant to provide candid and detailed feedback about your product or services, how do you ensure the accuracy and liability of your market research? So in terms of running the market research, doing the research with your customers, sometimes you might have to give them incentives. All right, because people are very funny sometimes. So you can meet someone and tell them that, oh, I want to run the research, but at the end of just for your time, you could give them credit or something, or pay them money or something. But for taking people's time to unless people are just willing, but if you are faced with this kind of challenge, you might want to you want to go by giving them an incentive to get their time, right? Because some customers may harbor concerns about their honest review could potentially lead to price increase. Well, that's strange because I don't think it's, in fact, it's on the other end, because most time you're looking to even serve your customers in the best approach and give them a suitable price. But if you're in a place where, and again, it's also important as a product manager, you're not playing the pricing game. Focus more on the value you get. In fact, your pricing sometimes will be influenced on how much value you are giving. So if you are giving so much value, it's expected that your price will go up. And if your value is something, the value you are rendering is something that it's solving most of the pain points that customers are experiencing, they will pay. And if you know how people spend, all right, people spend money on things that that are of value to them, that are important to them. So if they don't see your solution as solving a major problem for them, they won't pay. There are products that people are paying close to, $300 to $600, dollars per month. Why? Because of the value that product is serving for the organization. So it's not a matter of whether it will influence the pricing, but in cases like this, just like I said, there are some customers that may not respond to you. Some will respond, some might not, and that's people for you. All right. So just try and get as many. If one customer is not giving you the response you need, try and get another one. All right. So those are the challenges you experience, to be honest, when running a market research. All right. What other strategy can we deploy to address this? Yeah, it's just moving from one customer to another. If one person is not responding, move to another one. All right. You would likely get a customer that would be that would be responsive, all right, to you. All right. What KPI should we track to validate research-driven decisions? All right. KPIs are based on what you think would achieve your goal. All right. So if your goal is to have more people download your app, you create KPIs in that regard. If your goal is to have more people pay for the app from the number of people that downloaded, you create the KPI around that. So your KPI would always align with the objective, the goal you are trying to achieve for your product. All right. If it's that you want, for example, now let's say it's an Airbnb, all right, you want to have more. Maybe your KPI could be you want to have more. What do Airbnb give again? Sorry, you want to have more houses and things like that, and more conversions in terms of people, occupancy. Yeah, so you want more occupancy rate, all right? In terms of from the number of houses that you currently have on your platform, or maybe it's a real estate. Your app is in the what's it called now, in the housing and industry and all of that. So it depends on what your goal is. That's how you set your metrics together, or your KPIs, which you get. So yeah. So you guys have to be very okay. I don't have so much like that. All right. So someone is asking, some of these tools you have been introducing without we having to practice it out, how are we expected to be able to use them, especially in light of the assignment? All right. I don't think for the assignment I do, I don't think you need any tool for that one. It's just for you to go out and you might have to do some research in terms of the questions you want to ask, but that's me. But for these ones, I'm going to share some tools like I mentioned. It will be on Notion anyway. They're like templates that will guide you on how to conduct these things. You get. So I'm going to share that tomorrow or by the end of today. How exactly does a focus group work, and how would you get it participation? I already talked about it in our last class. The video will be shared soon on the website, so you guys can look at that. How do you submit the assignment? This is not related to the class. You can reach out to the class rep. They will show you how to submit the assignment. Is it possible for a product company to have just one product manager? Well, it's possible to have it, but it's a lot of work. Some people have one product, but most likely you will be having more product managers in the company. Like the company I currently have, we have most likely have almost shooting up to 50 product managers, and I'm not exaggerating. Yes, and our engineering workforce is almost about 200 or something. Comprising of dev and all of that, QA, DevOps, all of that. Because it's a massive company. All right. Any other question? All right, I think that's all of the major questions pertaining to the class. Please, how do we get data for our computer analysis? What size of data can validate your research? Your quantitative analysis, I would send the template. It's just it's just research you need to do online. It's are researches you need to do online. Like I know I mentioned in the class, you might want to look at the features, the offerings and things like that. So you go online and do those research and be able to answer these questions that are in the answer this question for the computer analysis. All right. Okay, so I think that's all of the questions. I'm going to give room for one person to ask the question, and that's it. All right. Any question, guys?
Hello, sir.
All right.
Yes, please. Okay. My name is Asomto Emejuru. My question is this. About the secondary market research, do we have established bodies that runs that research? Like you can patronize or
It's as
something,
simple
or you
as
can approach.
yeah, I get your question. It's as simple as actually just googling market research on a particular industry or on a particular market. You Google will literally bring it out to you. So there are several ones, but the one I'm very aware of is this statistical, because I know I've used some of their reports at some point, and there are a lot of them. And like I said, there are some that you have to pay for, because these are data. They are research organization that do concrete data collections and research. So you can then use those reports to influence your product decision. All right.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right. So that's the end of our class today. Yesterday's class will be uploaded in a second. Immediately I dropped this drop from this. We would upload that